Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back. Today I'm going to be walking you through how to get a flawless face and share all of my tips and tricks and techniques for applying your foundation, making it last all day and look as flawless as possible. So I've been trying a couple of new different techniques that have really been a game changer for me. I get pretty oily, and especially with this 90-degree heat with 100% humidity, sometimes it can feel a little defeating and a little impossible to get your makeup to last that long. So I'm going to give you all of my tips and tricks. I hope you guys enjoy. Please subscribe and let's get started. This is super weird. I normally do my face makeup before my eye makeup, but for the purpose of this video, I did my eyeshadow first and it feels a little weird. But anyways, so my skin type is very, I would say normal to oily. Sometimes I can get dry, but as long as I keep up with my skincare, my skin is pretty normal. I will get oily throughout the day, mainly if I have on makeup. If I don't wear makeup, my skin is just normal. So over the years, I've learned a bunch of different tips and tricks to keep my makeup on, make it last. So I hope that these tips and tricks are helpful. So the first thing you want to start off with is a primer. That is going to be different for everybody. You can just use your moisturizer as a primer. You can use something more hydrating if you have really dry skin. If you have oily skin, you could use something that's extremely mattifying. For me, I feel like because my skin is going to get oily regardless, I don't find that anything really makes that huge of a difference. The two that I've been bouncing between recently has been the Honest Beauty Everything Primer, this one here, and then I've also been using the Rougher Hydration Cream. This is actually a face moisturizer. Use whatever you want. Today I'm gonna be using the Honest Beauty one. I just squeeze it out on my fingers and then I'm just going to apply it onto my skin. So a primer is just going to make it so that there is almost like a tackiness to your skin. So whatever product you put on, it's going to stick to it, grab on, and make it last a little bit longer. It's also going to create a barrier so that when you do get oily, it is a little bit harder to come on through. If you get super oily like I do, sometimes that is just inevitable. But you know what? Glowy is in, and I've also been kind of embracing my oiliness. So yeah. This primer is really nice. It gives a little bit of a glow to the skin, and even though I have oily skin, like I said, I've just been embracing the glowiness, so I don't mind glowy products. And there'll be times where I'm like, oh, I'm so oily, and I'm like self-conscious about it. And other people who have dry skin will tell me that they wish that their skin would do that. So I'm trying to embrace it and just enjoy the glow, because as we get older, our skin will dry quicker. So, that is a plus if you are oily. For my foundation today, I've been using quite a few different ones and I have a lot of favorites. After this video, I'm actually gonna film my top favorite foundations for oily skin, so stay tuned for that. But one of them is this one, which is my holy grail top #1 foundation, and I keep it in the box when I get it brand new because the box is so beautiful. But this is the Pat McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation. This is what it looks like in the box. Isn't that so pretty? I have the shade LM9 or light medium 9, and this is what the bottle looks like. It's just so beautiful, and I would say this gives a light to medium coverage. I find that even if I have like more redness on my skin, or when my skin was more like broken out, if I go in with a lighter coverage foundation, then I can go in with like a thicker concealer to spot conceal, and then the skin just looks more natural, more radiant, more youthful, and more natural. So nothing against full coverage foundations, but I think especially in the summer, I can tend to I get more oily in the summer as it is, but then the makeup can tend to just like cake up and get thick and just a little overwhelming on my face personally. So especially now, I love more sheer to medium coverage foundation. So that's especially why I really love this one. I also feel like it lasts really long on my skin, especially in addition with a primer. It just wears really nicely. This color too also matches my skin really well. I don't have on a spray tan right now. This is my skin. I haven't put on a spray tan in like 3 weeks. So this will last me through my fairest, and then when I have a tan, I can still use it. I just have to put on more bronzer, but this color works really well. I'm gonna be using the Fox 4 brush from the Sigma and Brianna Fox brush set. It is still available. They are actually having their semi-annual sale right now until I think I'll put the dates down below because I actually don't know the dates, but you can get 10% off my brush set for a very small amount of time. They like rarely do this. But yeah, my brush set is still available. So if you want to get it 10% off, I'll link it down below. So when I apply my foundation, sometimes when I'm like in a hurry and I want to get my makeup done, I'll just quickly pump this into the brush and then buff it on my skin. But when I'm looking for that like flawless finish to make it just look like extra natural, extra just like my skin but better, I'll pump it on the back of my hand first and then work in the product into my brush and then apply it. The reason why is because when you put it right directly in the brush, you don't know how much product is going to be on there, and you might eventually apply too much than you intended to begin with. So this way you can really control the product, you can work it into your brush and then buff it in. I get a lot of questions about sponges. You can definitely use a sponge if you'd like. I think that just comes down to preference. I also think if you have more dry skin, you might prefer a sponge just because you get that hydration element to it. But I think all in all, it is just preference. I think those little minor details are very minute and don't make that big of a difference. It just comes down to what you prefer. So I prefer a brush. I'm gonna start with one pump on the back of my hand. You can see this is a very watery sort of finish. So I'm gonna take the brush and just kind of push it in on the back of my hand, work it in. So now it's in the bristles and we are ready to apply. So I like to start here and I'm just going to push it. I'm not wiping and swiping around. I'm just kind of doing like a push drag like this and working it in. And I start here because this is where I have all of the discoloration. I don't like to apply too much here right now, even though I have a lot of discoloration here. And that's because I'm gonna go in with my concealer. And if I do a ton of foundation and then I do my concealer, then it's gonna be way too much product. It's going to cake up. So that's why I'm personally starting here. And then once I got the majority of the product on, then I will blend it down on the jawline and up here as well. And if I wasn't talking, I honestly probably would have just used that one pump for both sides. I would have went back and forth, but I was distracted with what I was talking about. So I'm gonna end up applying more than I initially intended to, but that's okay. And now, once the majority of the product is off of my brush, you can see there's like not much going on here. Now I'm gonna go on my nose. The reason why is because my nose can cake up so fast. I also get really oily in here, so I apply a lot of powder, and then it can just be a mess with a lot of product, with a lot of powder. It just ends up looking separated and cakey, and I just don't like the way it looks. So I always make sure I barely have anything on my brush before I go over my nose, just to give a very light coverage. And honestly, sometimes I would rather have like barely anything on my nose with like redness peeking through than for me to cake on the product and then it looks all caked up and like separated and weird. Because to me, I just don't think that looks good. I don't like that look. I would rather have redness and just like normal skin showing through than like caked up makeup. So I'm gonna do this again to the other side. So I'm gonna do this to the other side, work this into the brush really good, and then start popping this on the skin, doing the push drags. And I don't like to like buff it around like this because I just feel like it ends up, I don't know, I just like don't have as much control. I also, as you can see, I'm holding towards the middle of my brush. So that's gonna give me about a medium amount of control and pressure and fullness of the coverage. The closer you hold any of your brushes to the bristles, the more product and pigment and pressure is going to be applied when you're applying your product. The further away, it's going to be like, you can see, it's like you don't really have much control. It's very lightweight, so you're barely going to apply any product. So just keep that in mind when you're doing any of your makeup. If you're using brushes, whether it's on your face or your eyes, that's a good rule of thumb when you're doing your makeup, just to know how much pressure and how much product you're applying. Once this product is off, I'm gonna bring it down my neck. Let me check up close to my nose and see what that's looking like. See, I don't even think I need to apply much more. That little amount before was enough. And now I'm gonna go with just the tiniest bit for my forehead because I just feel like I just need a color up there. I don't need like much coverage. So, and normally when I do my makeup, my brows are not done. So this is weird. I have to like watch out for my brows because normally I'll just, who cares if my makeup gets in my brows, you know? But now that they're done, I'm trying to be careful. So up here, same thing, just doing push drag motions. And then too, another thing that you can do, I don't really do this, but say you like both brushes and sponges, you could apply it with your brush and then go in with a damp beauty blender and then just push it in even more. Totally up to you. If you like that like extra little beauty blender type finish, totally up to you, but I don't really do that. Foundation's done. This is just the foundation so far. I'm now gonna go in with concealer. My favorite concealer is actually the matching concealer to this foundation. This is the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Concealer, the same exact shade, LM9. And I like this because this gives a solid medium coverage, and I also really like the shape of the applicator. It has like that, just a slight angle. So I'm gonna take this. I used to bring my concealer like everywhere, but a little goes a long way. And then when you apply less than you think, you can always add more if you need to. And then whereas if you applied too much, then it gets so much product everywhere, and that's when you can tend to get really oily and caked up with your makeup. So less is definitely more, especially in the summer heat. So I sleep on my left side of my face. So not only is my hair more damaged on the side of my face, but I have this pretty gnarly dark circle just on this side, not on this side. So on this one, will dot a little bit in here. And I'll do it here too, why not? I'll do a little here. And then I do a nice sharp little line right there just to lift. Oop, I did a little more on that side. And then that will end up carrying down into here. I'm not gonna apply, I know I have like redness and a dark spot there, but the rest of that will carry. That's honestly a little bit more than I normally do. I accidentally applied too much there, but I try to just go less than I think I need, and then I can always add more. And then my favorite brush for this is the F03 from Sigma. Looks like this. And I kind of do one of these, you know, and put my chin down and start blending this in. Now, anytime you want to get all up into the under eye area, you can look up and put your chin down, and then you can access right up under here if you need to without making your eye blink and get irritated and making your eyes water. Just a good rule of thumb when you're doing your makeup for anything, if you need to get into like a small area or a crevice or something, always direct your eyeballs in the opposite direction of wherever your brush is coming from. So I am now bringing this in so I can get all that coverage there. And I did that line because I wanted to clean up my eyeshadow too. Again, this is actually more than I normally would do, but, and now I'm kind of just feathering it downwards into the rest of the face. And then I can get in here with the brush. Normally I would actually bring it through just to really blend that out, but because I've got my eyeshadow on, it's a little trickier. I don't know why opening your mouth is like necessary. I mean, I can do it with my mouth shut. It's just like, I can get in there way better. And I'm just looking up close just to make sure it's all nice and blended in nicely. And then whatever's left over on my brush, I'm just gonna take down here, wherever you need like a little extra coverage. So I missed a couple spots up here. Before I go in and set my face with powder, I do want to use cream products to like bronze up and do my blush and all of that. So I am going to include that in this video just so you can see how I do my full face and use all of those different products. So recently I've been using this new cream bronzer from Charlotte Tilbury. This is stunning. I'm obsessed with this. You guys know I'm also obsessed with her powder bronzer. This is like the best cream bronzer I have ever tried. Sometimes cream bronzers can kind of give like almost like a dewy glow. And if you have more dry skin, like, I mean, you would still like this, but you would probably not mind a dewy glow. But this just gives a nice like putty, cream, like it's just a very unique consistency. I really love it. So this is it here. I've been using it for the last like 2 weeks. It's gorgeous. I have the shade, I think medium. Yeah, shade medium. So my favorite brush for this is the Smith 157. I like this because it has this angled wedge, so it can perfectly go into the areas that I need. Also, if you ever have an itch afterwards, just use your brush. Okay, so I'm gonna take this right here, and I'm actually gonna just kind of pet this in the product because the consistency is just like very, very creamy. So I just pick it up there, and you can see it's already pretty pigmented. So I might go back and forth depending because I don't want to apply too much. So the angle that I'm doing is right above my ear, and I'm going to go this way. If you want a video on how I contour and highlight, let me know. I'm just going to breeze through this really quickly, but I haven't done an updated video on that in years, and I do it way differently now. So I'll just breeze past it now, but if you want a full video on like all of my tips and tricks on that, let me know. So I'm just going to take this here and push it. I'm not doing like the push drags like we did with the foundation. I'm just stippling. So it's just like little tiny pushes in the same spot. And then with my arm, I'm moving. So just pushing that in. And this angled brush just fits exactly where I need it to go. You see how easy that was? That product is like the best. So I'm gonna go in with a little bit more for this side. And I always start back here, because you don't want to apply too much product to the front part of the face because it can get a little harsh. And again, you can always add more. You don't want to go in with too much at first. And the reason for that is because you can't really take away too much product. You can, it's just a lot harder to do than it is to start with a light amount and then add more. Pretty much all products can just be used to layer and layer and layer. It's just the most natural, but like, at the same time, it's intense. Like I feel like I have a nice intense bronze contour going on, and it was so easy. I'm gonna take a little bit. I'm gonna go up here, balance this out on the forehead. I'm also gonna do the same thing here for the jawline. Get right underneath. And then you can see, I just feel like it's really bright right here. I am actually gonna clean this up in a little bit, but I'm gonna take whatever's left over on this and just kind of stipple very lightly. You can see I pulled further back, so I'm not applying too much product, but I just don't want like dark, light, you know? I want it to just kind of blend nicely together. So it might be a back and forth process, but just kind of blending that out so I don't have any like lines or anything. This is a Luxie 182 brush. I don't know if you can still get these, but I'm gonna take the fluffy end, pick up this cream bronzer, and I'm just gonna lightly contour the nose with it. This is one of the only cream contour products that I actually like on my nose. I normally just skip the cream on my nose and go for a powder, but I think because of a lot of them go more dewy, where this one, you can see it, I mean, it has a slight dew, but it's nothing too crazy. So I just feel like it tends to work fine for my nose. Now I'm just gonna go in with a little bit of cream, actually a lot of cream blush, because I just love cream blush. So I'm gonna be using the Anastasia Nectarine blush stick. This is so beautiful. It's like a nice coral color, so pretty. And I'm gonna be using the Hollywood Complexion brush from Charlotte Tilbury. So I'm gonna pick this up directly on the product, pick it up, and then I'm just gonna stipple it. I kind of smile and stipple it right here. And I tend to go a little heavier handed with the blush, because blush, for whatever reason, is the first thing to disappear on the face. So I like to go in a little bit more than I would probably prefer, because it ends up fading. So popping that here. So now that all of the cream products are applied, we can go in with powder. So right now I'm just itching with my brush. My personal favorite face powder is the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder. Now, instead of just going in with a brush like I normally would in the past, if you've seen any of my recent tutorials, you guys know I'm obsessed with the powder puff method, which I just like to call it a powder poof. It's a poof. So you can get these anywhere. You can get them on Amazon. I'm pretty sure one comes with this product, but I like the shape of this because of like the nose area and this area. Well, I'll walk you through it. You'll see. So I shake up my powder so that I have enough in here to use. And then I'll use the cap just to really work it into the poof because you don't want a ton of excess. And then I tap it off in the cap because, again, you don't want too much product. So now it's evenly distributed for the most part. And then what I like to do is take this vertically, basically gonna brighten up the side of the nose, which is gonna accentuate the contour and set this whole area at the same time. So I'm going vertically right here, making sure that this angle is vertical with my nose, pushing it in, continuing to push down. And then when I get to here, I'm flipping it so now this side is straight right here. So I'm setting this whole entire area like that. So all of that is now set. And it looks a little crazy, but we'll fix it in a second. Now we're gonna do the same thing to this side. Make sure this is vertical. Get that. Push it in. And then angle it, and powder right there. And I'm taking it upside down, getting right between the brows and just pushing the product in. Right here is where I get the oiliest, well, it's one of the areas where I get the oiliest. Again, I'm not swiping, I'm just pushing it in. And then just to clean up underneath here, just to make sure everything looks nice and clean, going to the corner of the mouth here. I actually kind of like to go a little lower, it's up to you, and just kind of carve right here. This is more just to clean up any of the contouring and bronzing. It's not necessarily for setting the face. So this I would say is really optional. Well, all of it's optional technically, but you know what I mean. I'm gonna grab a Fox 5 brush from the Brianna Fox brush set, and I'm gonna dust all of this away. So I start here just because I don't want too much of this powder down here. I don't want too crazy of a contour. And then I'm gonna dust all of this away under the eye, on the cheek, everything. Because I just don't want too much leftover powder. If you do too much and you don't dust it away and you just leave it, then it will cake up. You also want to be careful not to go back in with creams. I mean, you can, you just want to be careful because when you do cream, powder, cream, or even just powder and then cream, that's when it can tend to cake up. There are ways to do it where it won't, but you just have to be very, very careful and intentional with it. So just keep that in mind. But this whole powder puff brush technique has really been what has made my makeup last, even more than face primer and even more than the actual foundation itself. I feel like the way that I have been setting my face recently in conjunction with those things has just really made my makeup last all day long. Any event that I've gone to in the last like 2 months, my makeup looks so good all day long. If I get a little bit oily, which I just get oily anyways, but it doesn't take over my face like it used to. But if I am out and about and I'm in a pinch and I want to blot any oil, that sounds weird, but I'll just grab a little bit of toilet paper and just like blot what I need and I'm good to go. Pro tip. And then the last step for the face is the highlighter. I'm gonna use a powder just because this one's new. I just got this one and it's gorgeous. This is from Pat McGrath. It's in the color Golden Moonlight. It came kind of broken, so I have to be careful. Like it's not shattered or anything, but it's loose from the packaging. So it's stunning. So I'm gonna pick up a Fox 5 brush and lightly place it, very deliberate with where I'm placing this. I don't wanna go too crazy because were very strategic with our powdering. So I'm just applying it right here on the cheekbone, feathering it into the brow, kind of giving that V shape there, not bringing it too far into the center of the face, just keeping it really up and back. My finger, I'm gonna do the nose. Just place it in the center and the Cupid's bow. Twist it away with the brush. Okay, so I just finished up the eyes and did my lips and that's it. That's the look. You might notice that I didn't use any makeup setting spray. Sometimes I'll use the Morphe one. That's my favorite one out of all makeup setting sprays that I've ever tried. But I just feel like makeup setting spray has never really been a make it or break it sort of product, at least for me. I can see if you have more dry skin, how that could totally make or break your makeup because it's going to give you that extra hydration that you need. So if I were to recommend one, I really love the Morphe one. I think that it works really great for all different skin types. All in all, I just find that it doesn't change anything too much for my makeup, and I just love the soft finish of the powder and this new technique with the powder puff and everything. I just think it leaves my skin looking just the best that it's ever looked with makeup. So I'm gonna try to zoom in a little bit more so you can see. So this is the skin up close, so you can see how it looks. I just feel like that technique just oh, I got like a little brush hair. It just leaves my skin looking like, it just looks like my skin. It looks like I just put on just a little bit of bronzer and blush and highlight. It doesn't look like I also have on like powder and foundation and just like all the things. I just think it looks just nice and natural, and everything just like lays on really nicely. Especially like say you ever wanted to layer your cream products with powder, you could just add the powder on after you did like the translucent setting powder. It just feels like velvet on your skin. It would lay on top of it so nicely. But yeah, I think that's everything for my tips and tricks on how to achieve a flawless face, especially during this time of year. One last thing that I wanted to mention, I totally forgot when I was applying the makeup to mention this. If you're wearing sunglasses and stuff like that, even with all of these tips and tricks, it's a little inevitable. Same with like face masks. I had a lot of questions on like how to get that to like not ruin your makeup. Anytime you put anything on your face, it's going to mess up your makeup. That's just, it is what it is. So I would just suggest maybe adding a little bit of extra powder right here with like a brush, just dust it. Maybe bring this along with you or something, but I'm kind of just, it's hot. I don't care if my sunglasses leave a smudge. It is what it is. I don't really care. Sometimes if they're there, I'll just like rub it in and then whatever. But just know like everyone else is sweating and hot and that's happening. So don't worry about it. If you really do worry about it, just bring the powder with, bring like some touch-up products because it is kind of inevitable. The only thing I can think of to like kind of prevent that from happening is just add a little bit more powder there, but still, again, anytime you put anything on your face, it's still bound to happen. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing what my tips and tricks were for how to apply just your face makeup and how to make it look flawless and last all day in the summer heat. Please let me know all of your video requests for how-to tutorials. If you're ever stuck on something, you can't seem to figure it out with your makeup, or you just want to know my tips and tricks on how to perfectly apply lip liner, whatever it is, please let me know. It's been a hot minute since I've done any like how to break down tutorials, and I really enjoy them, and I love just teaching how to apply makeup. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing what my tips and tricks were. If you end up trying any of them out, please let me know. I'd love to know how your foundation looks and how it lasts. You can always tag me on Instagram or throw me a DM over there. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.